Hey everyone, Dr. Chris here, coming at you from Align Life headquarters in Asheville, North Carolina. I have a special guest today. We're going to be following up on some questions from our last video. We are here with my friend and good colleague, Dr. Kamal from Black Bear Dental.
Hey.
Here in Hendersonville, North Carolina. Dr. Kamal.
Thanks for having me. You know, I like to come see you. It's a pleasure. Appreciate it. A little early for this, but I love to come out here and like to talk to your patients and our guests and get on our way.
Yeah, well, these are exciting times. You know, I really think there's a lot of people out there suffering that we can help. And from our last video, we got a flood of questions and keep them coming. But today we just want to talk about a little bit of it and get that info out there and hopefully help you or anyone you know to please forward that onward. So I had a practice member here that's had sleep disorder breathing, was diagnosed with sleep apnea. Does the CPAP, but at a low level, is comfortable with it, but you know, asked is like, you know, is there other options for me?
Sure.
And what do you think about that?
Absolutely. So I will say first and foremost, if you're on a CPAP and the CPAP's working for you, you don't need to change it. If it's not broke, don't fix it, right? The CPAP works excellent. I will never say that the CPAP is not a good instrument or good therapy for patients who are struggling with some form of obstructive sleep apnea. Having said that, a CPAP machine is not for everybody. You know, some people have some claustrophobia. They don't like to have something wrapped around their face. It's not convenient. It's only efficacious if you're using it. You know, it's only as effective if you're using it every day. Yeah, it might be more effective than a sleep apnea appliance that we can create at the dental office, but it's not going to work if you're not wearing it.
Gotcha.
So that's what I tell our patients. If it's working, keep going. If it's not working, you have other options. We can create a sleep apnea device. It kind of looks like two pieces of a mouth guard that kind of fits on the top and the bottom. And the objective is it projects your lower jaw forward to open up your airway. And just like the CPAP is titratable, right? You can change the settings to make it more air pressure, more positive airway pressure. The same concept applies to the sleep apnea device where you can titrate it and push the jaw a little bit more and more forward.
Gotcha.
So there are options. You can always give it a shot and give it a try, but you know, just know that even the device itself that we can make at a dental office is not the same for everybody. We have different types of devices.
Gotcha. So just so everybody can understand, you know, if it's working, don't break it. You know, stick with the chiropractic care, stick with your CPAP or your appliance.
Absolutely.
You know, you did mention different types of appliances. We did have some questions with that. There's a lot of different literature out there and studies. I know if you have just done your diplomat work, so you're fresh out of the latest and greatest technologies. Maybe you could talk to
Absolutely.
About
so
that.
You know, we look at a lot of things when we're trying to fit you for an appliance. Some things we want to look at is the number of teeth. Do you have a lot of teeth there? What sort of restorations do you have on your teeth? Do you have some fixed bridges, implants, crowns? Because sometimes those can have an effect because this is putting a little bit of pressure on your teeth. Part of it is you're opening and closing of your jaw. Not everybody can open as big as anybody else. Some people can't open as much. So there's certain things we're going to look at and address. Some people have some form of nasal obstruction, so we can have a little tool in the appliance that kind of expands your nasion a little bit, just so that you can create a little bit more flow through the nasopharynx as well. So there's a few things we kind of address. Some patients are a little more sensitive to metals, so we try to make a metal-free appliance. There's some patients that like a little bit of flexibility because they maybe brush or grind their teeth at night. So we want to allow for that movement so that we don't put a lot of pressure on the jaw, so we restrict that bruxism. But we don't allow the teeth to come together so you don't harm the teeth. So there are certain appliances and many different options, but we like to see our patients in the chair first to find out what the best appliance is for them.
Okay, and I think another question off of that, especially we see some people come in with some TMJ or jaw issues. How do we work with the person that has a sensitive jaw or TMJ along with their sleep apnea? Because we know when we sleep on the back, right, the jaw gets jet out and it's often subluxates the joint.
That's an excellent question. In fact, that's a very critical question. This is why it requires a lot of training, because a lot of times you can make an appliance that can really cause or over-accentuate what you may already have in terms of a TMJ disorder or some TMJ dysfunction. Sometimes the appliance can be used to help the TMJ dysfunction. It is common sometimes though, and sometimes this is another way to assess whether a candidate is good or they can handle an appliance, is whether or not they have some form of TMJ disease. So to answer that question, I would say, we have to address that ahead of time. We have to know up front, do you have some form of TMJ disorder? Is your joint sore? What's the cause of that? Is it bruxism, a grind in your teeth? Is it holding them really close to each other? Is that the way you're sleeping? And if it's something that we can create, because sometimes the appliance can act as a stent and sometimes relieve some of that pressure.
Gotcha.
So it is something that you got to manage. Sometimes we just tell our patients, look, you might not be the best candidate because you have that sleep disorder. We don't want to make it worse.
Correct.
With this appliance. So.
Well, those are all great answers. Some great questions. Keep the questions coming.
Absolutely.
And we look forward to speaking to you all soon. Thank you again,
Hey,
Dr.
man,
Kamal.
thanks for having me.
All right, have a great day.
Man, I appreciate it.